5 years have passed since I left my hometown in the Philippines. As I gaze at the golden and crimson-hued clouds, signaling the end of another solitary day in this distant land, I'm reminded of the sacrifices I've made to earn a living. It was 5 years ago that I graduated as a civil engineer and was recruited by a prominent construction company for a long-term assignment in Dubai. Before my departure, my girlfriend and I shared our dreams of building a life together, a big family, a comfortable home, and a garden where our future children could play. We spoke of temporary separation, with me working abroad for 2 years to secure our family's financial stability. The day before I left, we were inseparable, pouring our hearts out to each other. In a moment of passion, we surrendered to our love, defying the cultural norms of our hometown, where virginity was traditionally valued before marriage. Now, as I reflect on those memories, I'm reminded of the bittersweet nature of my journey. The distance has taken its toll, but the memories of our love and the dreams we shared continue to sustain me. A week after arriving in Dubai, I finally found time to call my girlfriend, Maria, to update her on my journey and hear about her life back in our village. However, my repeated calls went unanswered, leaving me worried. I reached out to our mutual friend, Rudy, hoping he might have some insight into Maria's silence. "Rudy, I need to talk to you about Maria," I said. "She's not answering my calls or messages, and I'm getting concerned." Rudy hesitated before responding. "I'm not sure if I should be the one to tell you this, but since Maria hasn't reached out to you, 2 days after you left, we attended a friend's birthday party. It got wild, with a lot of drinking. Maria wasn't used to hard liquor, but she was persuaded to drink. She got heavily intoxicated, and Otoe, who had borrowed his father's car, offered to take her home. Rudy's voice trailed off, and I sensed something was wrong. What happened next? I asked, my anxiety growing. Otoe had been interested in Maria for a while, not knowing she was your girlfriend, Rudy continued. When they reached her house and found it empty, he took advantage of her. Unfortunately, her parents arrived just as, well, you know. They cornered Otoe, brandishing a biolelo. You can guess what happened next. A shotgun marriage was proposed to avoid scandal. Maria's still reeling from the incident, which might explain why she's not responding to your calls. My world shattered when I learned that Maria, my girlfriend, had been forced into a marriage. The news felt suffocating, as if the walls of my small room were closing in on me. I was overcome with emotion, and for hours I cried uncontrollably, feeling helpless and drained. The distance and my inability to change the situation only added to my despair. In an attempt to cope with the loneliness and emptiness that consumed me, I threw myself into my work. I dedicated myself to my job, pouring all my energy into it. 2 years passed, and my employer, impressed with my work, offered me a contract extension from 2 years to 5. I accepted readily, using the opportunity as a means to escape the painful memories and emotions that lingered. The thought of returning home, confronting the reality of Maria's situation, was too overwhelming to bear. After 5 years of working in Dubai, I was forced to return home, a prospect I dreaded. The painful memories of Maria and our shattered dreams still lingered, making me hesitant to face the place where our relationship had unraveled. To avoid my hometown, I spent a month traveling, exploring new destinations, beautiful beaches, historical sites, and mountains I'd always wanted to climb. Eventually, I had to confront my past. While wandering through a mall, I spotted Maria with a young boy by her side, sitting in a fast food restaurant. Our eyes met, and I was about to avoid my hometown. I spent a month traveling, exploring new destinations, beautiful beaches, historical sites, and mountains I'd always wanted to climb. Eventually, I had to confront my past. While wandering through a mall, I spotted Maria with a young boy by her side, sitting in a fast food restaurant. Our eyes met, and I was about to retreat, unsure of how to approach her. However, curiosity got the better of me, and I walked over to her table. As we locked gazes, I noticed the sadness in her eyes, tears welling up. I murmured a hesitant hello and took a seat across from her without waiting for an invitation. "How are you?" I asked, breaking the silence. Maria's response was subdued. "We're fine." Her words belied the emotions etched on her face, and I sensed there was more to her story than she was letting on. The greeting felt awkward, given the 5-year gap since our last face-to-face conversation. We stood there, frozen in time, struggling to find the right words. The silence was palpable until I broke the ice by asking about the boy beside her. "How old is he?" "He has your eyes." "4 years old," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated, unsure how to ask the next question. "How's your married life?" Her response was laced with sadness. "Not good. We're separated, and we have shared custody of our son. He usually stays with his father, and I get him on weekends." I was taken aback, having assumed they were living together as a family. "I didn't know," I said, my mind racing back to the incident that led to their marriage. "I thought you were living with him, raising your son together." She shook her head, tears welling up in her eyes. "It was a difficult marriage, one without love. We emotionally separated, stopped pretending, and eventually went through a legal separation. There's no divorce in our country, so this was the only option." As we talked, I asked about her son's age and birthday. "He's 4 years old last June," she replied. Something clicked in my memory. June, just 9 months after our last meeting. A question formed in my mind, one I couldn't ignore. "Are you sure he's the father of your son?" The realization hit us both like a ton of bricks. The memories of that day came flooding back, and I asked the question that had been on my mind. "Didn't it ever cross your mind that I might be his biological father?" Her eyes widened in shock, and she seemed to be considering this possibility for the first time. "We did it just once," I continued, while he did it multiple times, 3 days after I left for Dubai. "He didn't know what happened between us, so I guess you assumed he was the father." The air was thick with tension as we both processed this revelation. The past was catching up with us, and our conversation had opened up a Pandora's box of emotions and questions. The nagging question lingered. Was I the biological father of the boy, or was it her ex-husband? I wondered how the ex-husband, who had cared for the boy and believed him to be his own, would react to the truth. The memories of the day Maria and I spent together, our love burning brightly, stirred emotions I couldn't quite explain. Before we dove into the complexities of our situation, I suggested we seek the truth first. "There's a DNA clinic in town," I told Maria. "We might as well go there now that the boy is with us." As we traveled to the clinic, the tension was palpable. We were all feeling a mix of emotions, anxiety, hope, and excitement. Inside the clinic, I filled out the required documents, and the staff collected the samples by swabbing my mouth and the boys separately. We waited in the waiting area, our anticipation growing. The staff informed us that the results would take 3 weeks to arrive, as the samples would be sent to a clinic in Australia. We bid each other goodbyes, with Maria embracing me tightly and whispering, "My love for you never faded, and you'll always be in my heart." I echoed her words, making a fervent promise.
3 weeks later, we returned to the clinic, our hearts filled with hope and excitement. The same staff greeted us with big smiles, declaring 99.99% you're the father. The joy that burst forth was indescribable. We wrapped our arms around each other, tears of joy streaming down our faces. We need to meet with your parents and ex-husband to discuss the implications. Maria's ex-husband's live-in partner, who was pregnant with her first child, was also included in the meeting. The meeting was scheduled for the following night at 7 p.m. As we sat around the dining table, the ex-husband and his partner arrived, surprised to see me with Maria and her parents. "What's this about?" he asked, taking a seat. I presented the DNA results, and except for Maria and me, everyone else was taken aback. The mention of rape and shotgun wedding brought guilt and regret to the ex-husband's face. Given the complexities of their situation, including the fact that Maria's ex-husband was in a legal separation and not allowed to live conjugally with another person, I proposed an unconventional solution, raising our child together under one roof. The room fell silent as Maria and I stepped out, giving them time to consider my proposal. After a long moment, they called us back in and agreed to my plan, taking into account the past and their current circumstances. 6 months later, Maria and I stood in front of our newly built home, our son by our side, looking forward to building a new life together and fulfilling our dreams. End of